Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about why some teams just click. They pull together, they thrive, they innovate. And then why other teams, well, they fall apart. We're diving into the big ideas from Simon Sinek's Leaders Eat Last to uncover the science behind it all. And it turns out, it comes down to some really basic biology that's running the show.
But to really get this, we're not going to start in a boardroom or an office. Nope. We're going thousands of feet up in the air, inside the cockpit of an A-10 Warthog flying high above Afghanistan.
And this quote right here, it perfectly captures the story we're about to hear. It's the story of a pilot who truly lived these words. His call sign? Johnny Bravo. And his experience really gets to the core of what leadership is all about. So, I want you to picture this. It's pitch black, Johnny Bravo is flying miles above the ground, but he's completely blind. There's this thick, soupy blanket of clouds between him and the earth. His only connection to the soldiers down below is a fragile, crackling radio link.
And then he hears it, the one call that no pilot ever wants to get: troops in contact. That means the Special Forces team on the ground, 22 of them, is under attack. They're pinned down and they are fighting for their lives.
So what do? The rulebook, the protocol, says you wait. You do not fly blind into a valley surrounded by mountains. But Johnny Bravo could feel the raw anxiety in that voice over the radio. His gut, his empathy, was screaming at him that he had to go down.
And he did it. He pointed the nose of his plane down and just plunged into the darkness, literally counting down the seconds until he expected to crash into a mountain wall. He's firing his main gun completely blind, just praying he can protect men he can't even see. He said later that there are fates worse than death, and for him, one of them is going home alive when 22 others don't. And when they asked him what gave him that kind of courage, his answer wasn't his training. He said his single greatest asset was empathy.
So that brings us to the big question, right? Where do people like Johnny Bravo come from? Are they just born heroes? Simon Sinek argues, emphatically, no. That kind of courage isn't some rare gift for a select few. We are all capable of it. If, and this is a big if our leaders create the right conditions for it.
So what are those conditions? Well, it's all built on this one core idea from Sinek's work. It's something he calls the circle of safety.
Think about it like this. For most of human history, our brains got really good at dealing with danger from the outside. Predators, rival tribes, that sort of thing. But in the modern workplace, the biggest threats we face are often from the inside. Office politics, instability, the fear of getting laid off. The circle of safety is that feeling you get when your leader protects you from all that internal drama so that all of you can finally focus your energy on the real threats outside.
This ancient proverb just nails it. A leader's job isn't to use their power and perks to protect themselves. No, that power, that status, that's the shield. It's meant to protect the whole team, to expand that circle of safety for everybody.
And here's the thing. When that circle is strong, we naturally trust each other. We cooperate. It's what we do. But when the circle is weak, we spend all our time and energy watching our own backs, protecting ourselves from each other. So a leader's job is really just to build and maintain that circle. But what's actually happening in our bodies that makes this work?
Well, it all comes down to a few very specific chemicals. You see, our bodies have this built-in incentive system that's designed to reward us for behaviors that help the human race survive and thrive.
Sinek breaks these down into two basic groups. On one hand, you've got the selfish chemicals. These are things like endorphins and dopamine. They help us as individuals to hunt, to achieve, to push forward. They're all about personal drive.
So endorphins, they mask physical pain. Think of a runner's high. And dopamine, that's that wonderful feeling of satisfaction you get when you cross something off a list. But that's only half the picture. The other chemicals, serotonin and oxytocin, are the selfless ones. They're purely social. Serotonin is that feeling of pride you get when you help someone out. And oxytocin, oh, that's the big one. That's the chemical of deep trust, connection, love. It's literally the feeling of safety and belonging.
And then you have cortisol. Cortisol is the enemy of the circle of safety. It's the chemical of stress, of anxiety. It's that fight or flight feeling. And our bodies release it anytime we feel threatened.
and your body can't tell the difference between a lion in the grass and an untrustworthy boss in the office. And here's the critical part. Cortisol shuts down our access to oxytocin. It literally inhibits empathy and kills our desire to cooperate.
So if our biology is actually designed to help us cooperate, why do so many workplaces feel like they're just swimming in cortisol? Well, Sinek argues it's because of a uniquely modern problem that short-circuits our natural empathy. And that problem is abstraction. So what does this number mean? This is kind of a chilling number. It comes from one of the most famous and, frankly, disturbing psychological experiments of the 20th century.
65%. That's the percentage of totally normal people in the Milgram experiment who are willing to give a lethal electric shock to a complete stranger just because a guy in a lab coat told them to. But here's the key. They were most willing to do it when they were in a separate room, when they couldn't see or hear the person they were supposedly hurting. That physical distance, that abstraction, made the human consequences just disappear.
And that's where this quote from Stalin becomes so terrifyingly relevant to the modern workplace. When we lead from spreadsheets, when we manage numbers instead of people, our employees become statistics. Our customers become data points. And our natural empathy, that biological system that allows us to feel for other people, it just gets short-circuited. So what's the solution? What's the takeaway here? How do we fight against this abstraction and build real, genuine trust? Sinek says it all starts by completely redefining what a leader actually is.
See, this reframes everything. Leadership isn't a rank you earn. It's not a position you hold. It is a choice. It's the choice to look after the people around you. It's the choice to sacrifice what's yours, your time, your energy, your resources, to save what is ours. It shifts the focus from being in charge to taking care of those in your charge.
Sinek tells this great story about a former Undersecretary of Defense. When he was in his powerful role, he'd get served coffee in a nice, fancy ceramic cup. But the day after he left his job, he went to get coffee at the same place, and they handed him a styrofoam cup. And in that moment, it hit him. The ceramic cup was never for him. It was for the position he held. The perks that come with leadership, they aren't rewards for you. They are tools for the role you fill to help you better serve your people. You, the person, only ever deserve a styrofoam cup.
Because at the end of the day, that's the real test of leadership. Not your authority, not your title. The question you have to ask yourself is, would your team follow you into a foxhole? Do the people you lead actually trust you with their well-being? Because when they do, they will give you absolutely everything they have to see the shared vision come to life.